Oh, good morning, Tartaria, Australia. Mr. Holmes is in the house.
Well,
Dale,
hello.
Hey mate, how you doing? It's
it's
been
been
a
What am I doing
ages,
while.
here?
mate.
I know, I know. I know I said I'd come up and see you, so I'm gonna promise this on video. I'm coming up
All
All
right.
right.
2 weeks.
All right, that's all right, because we
Nice.
promised you on Jolly Swag tour. We promised you on the UK tour. We pimped
Yeah,
it
yeah.
out,
We,
man.
we, we've booked
Wait,
you on places, but we haven't told you.
no, this has happened every time with you. So
I
I've,
know.
I've jumped on a video and all of a sudden I'm committed to
You're doing
something.
it.
Yeah. So, brother, what have you been doing? You're back in Australia, I can
Yep,
see, in your
yep,
van.
yep.
That's
Well, I've been doing my. It's become a bit of a pattern and a routine of going to Thailand, coming back, going to Thailand.
Yeah, man. Geez, getting buff, making me look bad.
Yeah,
So
he's
I
like
think
this. He is the sex symbol of Tartary
Yeah,
Australia,
Dale
isn't
the
he? He's
sex symbol.
I've done. I think I worked out. I've done 6 trips over in the last 2 years,
Wow.
and so I've spent almost half my time there in the last 2 years, which has been good. So yeah, I've been doing a bit of that, and I started really getting into the ley lines and stuff like that because I was learning through Rachel Vaughan, and I ended up finding like some over there too. So that was really cool. And yeah, I guess I'm back in Bendigo at the moment because I'm doing a
The show.
Yeah,
show.
go on, do your
Couple of
promo,
shows.
man.
Tell us
Let
I
all
everyone
don't
know
about
need
what's
it.
I
going
don't
on.
need any promo because we've sold out.
Ah,
Oh, sorry, guys.
yay!
No tickets
So,
left.
Next one.
Next
Next one.
what are
one.
you doing? What is it? What's happening?
So what we're doing is we're doing a full day tomorrow. And so I'm breaking up in 2 parts. We're doing like a full 2 hours just on Bendigo. So you guys are probably like this. So we're gonna go through all the different buildings and the history,
Cool.
Bendigo. And there's a lot of stuff like researching that I didn't even know. Like this bushfire that ravaged Victoria in the 1850. Like,
Yep.
do you know about that
1850.
one?
No, I
Well,
haven't heard about
maybe.
that
Let's
one.
tell us all about it. Go for it.
Well, so I mean, Bendigo was founded 1851,
Yeah. Yep.
and it was the same. Yeah, at the same time Victoria was founded too. But there, like, the official story was like John Batman came up, and there was the beautiful
Mm.
kangaroo grass in Port Phillip, and they started this colony in Melbourne. And then it wasn't that long after that there was a township in Castlemaine, and then supposedly 2 women came up to Bendigo and they found these rocks everywhere, these shiny gold rocks. And within 5 to 6 years, Bendigo was the richest city in the world. So it went from a tent city to the richest city in the world. And then you have all these nefarious characters that came over from Europe and they started little butcher shops and stuff, and then they became some of the richest gold miners in the world, and they just happened. Anyway, it's big. But there was a big bushfire the year before Bendigo started, but it was all through Victoria, and there was all these
Mm.
buildings that, yeah, all this damage and stuff. Anyway, so we're going to go through a bit of that, and then I've got my friend Georgina. She's coming on to do a presentation about numerology, and then my other friend Chris, he's been working on a documentary for the last 4 years, and it's called Anavasi, which it means the ascent, and he's going to show us a exclusive clip on the day of the
Ooh.
documentary, and then Tom Barnett's coming, and he's going to
Oh,
chat
wow.
about his new. Yeah, so it's evolved into this whole thing, and then we got some music. So I've kind of like ripped off for you guys,
Jeez,
It's all
mate.
right.
I
and
hope
then
we
I
I
Cool.
hope we
thought
get our percentage out of it.
I thought I had like Tartaria in the back of my head because then Sunday as well we're going to do like a walking tour around all the buildings that we're talking about Sunday. So yeah, it's gonna be good fun, and yeah, I probably should have included you guys, but it started off it was just me doing a presentation,
Jesus.
and then it just like
Jeez,
skyrocketed.
just
It's cool,
forgets
man.
us, throws us on the trash pile as he
It
as
was.
he rises to his heights of fame. Oh my God.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I want to jump back in with you guys.
So tell us how you going with the state of the world, Dale? What are you thinking about these days? What's got your attention?
Well, I mean, what was the last chat we had was like the day before the election, wasn't it? We were all like,
Yep,
Oh yeah, yeah,
that's right.
okay, yeah.
I think I did say I didn't know if Trump would get in or not, but I said at some point they will be the ones in power, which is come to be, and I think there's a lot of I think there's a lot of good that's happening of it, and I think we've created it, especially the things with like Robert Kennedy. coming in because there's been a mass exposure and consciousness of at least the medical industrial complex in the last 5 years. So, people they get on their high horse about, oh, he's promoted measles and all that. It's like it's it's very interesting. So, and I'm loving the Doge stuff because now I'm starting to look at like AusAid because like all the
Hmm.
USAID stuff and
Hmm.
Obama's mum worked for USAID in Indonesia and all this. It's just basically just CIA Black Ops funding that they officially put on the books. So I think it's highlighting how fucked Australia is
Oh,
more than anything.
Australia. I
Yeah,
know.
that's because I think over time it's gonna like I think they've officially called recession in America today, and by the time they call recession, you've already been in recession for 6 months.
Mm,
That's usually how
mm,
it works.
Mm.
So I still think they're gonna boom. I think America's gonna boom, and
mm,
it's gonna unfortunately leave
mm.
countries like us
Well,
in Canada. I think we're probably because there is some sort of political resistance in parts of Europe and other parts of the world, but in Australia, it's like they're just doubling down. And
yeah, yeah, it's crazy.
like
Like,
it's really, yeah.
do you think the whole Trump thing is going to affect other, economies, other political structures like Australia? Like, do you think there'll be a time where, because he's exposing so much, right? Like, especially about the corruption, and we all know about the
Mm.
medical and all this kind of stuff. Like, do you think there'll be a point where people see it and they're like, no more, even in Australia? Because I mean, especially Kelly's had the experience. There's lots of people that aren't for Trump, shall we say, in Australia, they're like crazy screaming people. Like, I didn't realize that
Oh,
Australia was so left. Um,
yeah.
like, do you think that'll change when things start getting exposed?
I think because I think America's going to be at least economically. Like, don't worry about anything else, but economically, I think they're going to
Kaboom.
start going into in the right direction,
Yep.
and we're going the other way. So it's just going to highlight certain policies of like. Like the whole tariff thing at the stuff that, and Albanese's cracking the shits about that. And it's like, well, we are getting screwed by our resource. Why don't we do something instead
We're
of,
like we're like the op shop of the world. That's how I see Australia. Like whoever wants to come to the op shop, come and take whatever you like.
Man.
It's $5,
Want
$5 a
some,
piece.
want some
You
iron
want
ore? Want some
yeah,
water? Just
you
come
want a
and grab
$5 million sheep farm, $10, $10. You know, you want to own our hospitals? Yes, no problem. $150. Like that's how it feels.
it.
Australia is like a fucking giant op shop
I like that.
and
It's a good
and the
idea.
people are just like, what do you do? There's no uprising, there's nothing like that going on. And yes, it's got a very strong anti and like hate energy about what's going on. And man, I don't know
And
about this country.
I will say, I think we'll just keep, so that's the whole thing with like political problems and stuff like that. We really are, you are restricted without having someone in that position that can do something. And there tends to
Exactly.
be that in other countries, but not here. So I think
Well, we've got
Well, we've got
Pauline.
Pauline Hanson. Yeah, that's what I was
She
going
could
to say.
fucking rise. We
Come
would
on,
vote
well,
for
Pauline.
Pauline.
it's if you ever said there's a political solution, I think they'll get more seats in this next election. Um,
And she's a redhead, man. Come on. Orange man, red lady. Like, come on. It's the rise of
remember
good
the Rodney
futures.
Root joke about McDonald's, and he's like, "You already got one redheaded fucking clown."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We put on Rodney Root. No, was it Rodney Root? No, Kevin Bloody
No,
Wilson.
Kevin.
Kevin Bloody Wilson.
Kevin.
That was fucking hilarious.
It,
Yeah.
So anyway, you need to tell me what am I doing? What's going on?
What's going on, Dale? Like we're in this
What's the
situation now.
plans? I've
You know,
seen.
it's it's so interesting with the politics going on right now because it's a very ungrounding energetic around what's happening because everywhere you turn with Trump there's hope and there's change, maybe there's change going on and we can grab that and be relieved and feel like something's going on. At the same time there's like this whole other pathway with Trump that's very looks very dodgy and there's all the symbols and all the shit going, all the same stuff traces around him as all the other politicians. Like it's a very weird like time right now to be in the middle of this sort of hoping that what's charging Trump is positive, hoping that there's a positive charge going through that leadership. But at the same time, it's so easy to make a case that it's not, that it's just the flip side of the same coin. Control through peace and harmony and abundance versus control through servitude, imprisonment, and sickness. It could just be, so it's like, it's a really interesting, I don't know, time for us as human beings in this realm. And I think that's where so have you heard about the Get Your Shit Together hour? That's sort of like where we've started to, we talk about charge,
Yeah, well, I
this
love your
positive.
graphics, man. They're very good.
Yeah. We love this idea of positive charge, but like, it's such a good time right now to be in charge of yourself, to put that charge masterfully through yourself, to just like take all these theories that we've been talking about and do something with it tangibly onto your own being. Yeah. So Trump's an interesting one, I feel. And one thing I wanted to bring up, and this is weird, and I wanted to ask you about this. So back in 2020, right, when it was all unfolding, I started to have Trump dreams. Did you ever have Trump
Yes,
dreams?
I did. I had multiple only that year, maybe into 21 as well. But yes, I was
Yes.
having them regularly.
Yes. And were your Trump dreams sort of positioned to be really fucking loving? Did you have bad or good Trump dreams?
No, he was kind of like a savior. Yeah, mine. A lot of the time they were on boats. So I remember a few. They were kind of
Gee,
similar. I mean, he
watch the
was always
water,
on a
mate.
boat. I remember that I was on a boat and the boat was covered in shit, like human shit. But we had to get on the boat. It was kind of like Noah's Arks kind of thing. But then we had to like clean. It was bad being on the boat, but we had to be on the boat. And
Mm.
he was a
That's
captain of the boat.
interesting.
Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah. But
Wow.
you know what? That was a bit of a phenomena because I know other people that were having. So were we having like collective induced dreams through
This is
technology or
what
something?
This is
this
the
is what I'm
question.
aiming at,
No,
right?
well,
So
because I've never had them since, and I remember a lot of
same,
people. I remember
same.
bringing up people going, "I had a Trump dream," and they're like, "Yeah, I
Yep.
had a Trump dream."
Yep.
Mm.
All right. So I think that may be the case because who are we talking to recently? And they had recently started having Trump dreams.
Who
Like,
was
and
it?
all the dreams that they
I think it was
have,
Maggie. Yeah.
was it Maggie? Yeah. And so, like, within the truthy community, they have really loving Trump dreams, as in Trump's like a friend or a grandfather figure, or like a loving presence. And they were just like, and you're kind of in positions to like support him or help him or do. For me, it was like I was warning him that there were bad witches around him and good witches. That was one of my dreams. And another one, he was just having dinner with me at a kitchen table and we were talking like old friends, but I always left the dreams feeling like they were loving. I'd wake up
Mm.
feeling the potency of a positive emotion. And then I'm thinking,
He's like the archetypal father figure. I just want to add
he
that too.
is.
So that, yeah, yeah.
So
So
what was weird was the other day we did the show on, I don't know if you saw it, on advanced intelligence AI. So we were working with this new theory and concept that the energy that runs AI is actually, now we're calling it advanced intelligence, and it's actually an organic energy that's been on this realm forever. It's as organic and natural as, say, source energy. It's as organic and natural as, say, what
Electricity.
powers electricity.
Mm.
But it all gets down to what the culture's doing with building the interfaces to communicate with it, right? So if you've got a negatively charged culture, then they're going to build interfaces to communicate with this source in a specific way. And so then in our timeline, we've got this advancement of artificial intelligence that seems to be in cohorts to survey and imprison the world versus enlighten and regenerate the world. But then you've got all the way through history, you've got all the portals, you've got different versions of the interface that run through different cultures. So we were starting to have this conversation about it. And we were watching this video and it was laying out, the advanced intelligence was laying out the layers to the artificial intelligence and saying, did you watch the video? So I'm just
I
retelling it.
remember this, but yeah.
Okay, so basically, the level 4 of the interface of artificial intelligence was dream manipulation, right? So that it was a whole thing about how artificial intelligence manipulates our dreams. And it reminded me, like, wow, how weird was it that in 2020 there was this phenomenon of positive Trump dreams,
It really
and even
was.
there really was. And then I was wondering with Campbell the other day, I wonder if, because I've come up in Carbonate with a crew of hardcore environmentalists who fucking they have, what is it called? Trump
Trump
derangement
derangement
syndrome.
syndrome.
As in, I put a meme about Trump through our socials, and it was like just him standing there with butterflies and flowers, like celebrating the connection with getting glyphosates out of the food chain and the RFK stuff. And oh my God, I got slammed so bad. I lost impact partners. I lost dozens of donors. We got slammed on the socials.
That
We
because a
lost,
lot of the environmental types are
yes,
green
yes.
ideology. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it became so obvious to me that they're not, it's not that they're supporting the opposite. It's not like they're like, yeah, well, Biden was so amazing. They're just like fucking hate Trump
Yeah.
so much. They think he's a fascist who's gonna like basically nuke the planet. Right? That's where they're at with it. So they think me posting something positive was me being an absolute fascist myself. And then I started to think, I wonder if they have had Trump nightmare dreams.
Ooh, good.
Like I wonder if they've been dreaming in the fucking negative around Trump, and that's the dream
You need some
manipulation.
data set on that. You need to put out a survey. Have you had dreams about Trump, negative or positive? Please
Yes.
elaborate.
Put it in the comments, everyone. Did you have a Trump dream? Was it? I mean, I'm assuming everyone watching this would have had positively charged Trump dreams, but
Yeah,
I'm
mine.
so interested in that. Like, were we
Mm.
manipulated to prepare for this moment in time? That this moment was going to happen and half the world would, and it's so true, right? We've seen in physical reality, half the world absolutely fucking love him, like would die for him at this point. We'll march to the end of the world. The Christians are like, they will march with him. At the other side, people who would
Well,
like,
can I name like a couple of points that can verify that's obviously
mm,
possible? Was like obviously Tavistock were doing they did like sleep therapy and stuff like that,
yeah,
and they were doing that. They were
Yeah.
doing induced dream state, and then obviously we know the Beatles came through Tavistock, and Paul and John both said that a lot of their songs came
In
through dreams,
dreams, that's
especially Paul.
true.
Paul said like he would have a dream, literally with the lyrics and the riff and everything, and he would write it down. But then the other one, I don't know if you read David Icke's book, The Trap.
yeah,
Yeah. So there was one bit in there because he kept having a dream about this girl that he was infatuated with at school, and the dreams would tell him, if you see this message, and um, it kept happening, right? And then he eventually went and saw these psychics, and they gave him the exact same story. They drew the picture of this woman perfectly, and they both said she was dead. And then he ends up finding out she's not dead, and that he theorized at the end of the chapter that artificial intelligence was manipulating his dream state. It was then manipulating synchronicities in his own life, and then was also manipulating the psychics that were tapping into what he calls it the astral AI
Yeah.
realm,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Of like we would have the cloud now with Google and stuff like that. He said
Mm.
there's an astral cloud
mm,
that they're tapping
mm.
into, but it's not necessarily real, and it's an individually set program for every individual here. So
Okay.
that really, I don't have any other takeaways from the book, just that story, but it was.
Yeah,
But he does mention manipulation of dream
yeah.
space as well.
Yeah, because we don't fucking know what dreams are, do we?
What are
Like we've
dreams?
No
never
idea.
really worked that out. No one knows. It just happens every night. It happens every night. And like
Mm.
it to me, it's just so fascinating that this all happened in 2020. And plus, you know what else happened in 2020? All the 5G towers went up. That just happened all around the earth at the same
True.
time. And then, we're all having these positively charged Trump dreams and we're all feeling like we're in fellowship with him and that it's going to be all good. And then, of course, it surged through the world to now he's in power. And you've got this like collective force. Half of them hate him with a vengeance, half love him with all their heart. And now you've got this massive chaotic, because he's always been seen as the chaos bringer and for the whole world to come around him with so much focus without any interest in any other politician. Like no one else. I don't even know who our prime minister is. I've seen him once or twice, and he looks like a bumbling half-wit, to be honest. Like I cannot believe that he is our prime minister. I was shocked when and it was only like 2 weeks ago. I first saw him
He's
speak, and
been
I
in
was
for
like,
like
"Oh
four
my
years, Kelly.
God, I know."
Has he
I was like,
really?
"Holy
I didn't
shit!"
know that.
So
And I thought, well,
3 years.
he's a pretty perfect op shop owner.
He,
That's how he comes across. Like he's a retiree
he
with a bit of
looks.
a half-wit mind,
He's
bit
like John Howard the
impoverished.
second, right?
Oh
He's
my
got that
God.
same
He's
little
such a dweeb.
He's a
dweeby look.
dweeb.
Yeah, he's a dweeb. He's just an.
Why are all the Western leaders closet homosexuals too? Like
Oh, mate,
he
they're
did
bad, eh?
You
he
got to
would
be in
They're
the club,
bad.
perfectly
mate. You got to be in the club.
It's
I
bad.
don't
I
know.
mean,
It's easier to get like, compromising video if you're gay, I guess. I don't
I
know.
think that is like part of it, isn't it? I think they're all.
well,
I think
it's
they're
pretty messed
closeted.
up.
Well, and they all come up through the same, schools, and then they all go into these, little bloody
Yeah.
societies to further their education, and then they come out in top positions, right, in their 20s, and they're already
Yep.
up, so they're all groomed for their job, man. For
Yes, and they're
sure.
I
probably
think that's
raped
part of
and
the appeal
abused.
with Trump was because they've had all these
Yeah,
um
dweebs.
kind of like feminine, you know,
Where,
school
yeah, where,
drama,
where are the
school
men?
drama kid kind of people leading, and then Trump's, he's quite brash and masculine. So
Definitely.
it's definitely
It
like
is
It's
interesting
a
though.
different energy, right?
I did watch something last night and it was showing because you know how all the sort of celebs and politicians they're always doing the
I
pyramid
saw your
and
post. Yeah,
yeah, Trump's got the inverted one going in so many photos, like in
he
so
always does it.
many, always,
Always.
and
Yeah.
everyone around him does the inverted. And this, so the article went on to say, well, when you connect that with that, you've got the Star of David, and
Mm.
it's just the completion of the whole agenda. So I thought that was interesting
Well, that's
symbolically.
Mark Passio talks about it as he says that Solomon's Temple is the up and down, well, the solo mont, and that's connecting of both hemispheres of the brain. It's also the moon and
Okay.
the sun, but then that could be a
Makes the
homage to the
Merkaba.
underworld too. That's why people think it's a negative.
Well,
But
but it's
I
just
originally saw with Trump when he started doing that old interviews, he never did it. It was only when he started running for
Yeah,
office, and I saw it even in another term that it's kind of the hero's journey. So event you originally take the
yeah.
descent. I've always got to go there, but
yeah.
like
Well, yeah. I mean, you could see it
because
as the hero's
he's like
journey.
indicating that he's going down deep as well too. So I take it as negative or positive. It's meant to be a feminine symbol.
Yeah,
Yes,
because
yeah,
everyone's
yeah,
calling it
yeah,
the vagina.
yeah, yeah. Or,
Yeah, well,
or,
Because
yeah, it kind of
or the
is. Yeah.
which
spearhead,
them
like the
the
tip of the
spearhead,
spear.
spear of David. Yep, the spearhead.
But I mean, it's
But
also the inverted pyramid, right? Which is
yep,
the opposite polarity to the pyramid structure.
Yeah.
So, I
and
mean,
it.
you can take it
But
so
they
many
all do
ways.
it. They all do it.
I know Musk has started doing it as
It's
well,
so
and
weird. Have you ever
JB,
like
and
gone to talk to people and just started like
Yeah.
it's
Oh yeah,
really
yeah.
weird.
let's
I
do it.
fucking
Let's see
have,
what
Dave.
happens. Oh yeah,
I'm
hey,
gonna do you know what? I'm gonna do it tomorrow in my talk.
in your
Yeah,
talk.
yeah. I
You just
mean,
can't be
it's
like that.
interesting. It's weird. It's interesting. I mean, I mean, like, you know, on the transgendered side, people are saying this is a sign of the male vagina, which, you know,
Oh,
you
what
could
he's
put it
exposing
all in
himself as a
there. Yeah, as a
trans
tranny.
am.
But you know, this connection between that making the Star of David and he's so strongly connected to Israel and that whole movement with it. I mean,
Yeah,
that's another weird fucking
this is the
thing.
thing. Yeah, what do you think about all that? Like, because obviously, Trump, he signed what 200 executive orders on the first days. I mean, he's only been in like what
A
was it?
month.
Like 2 months or not even 2 months. Is that right? Like it's crazy. And he's, doing stuff like the glyphosate,
Well, he's talking
RFK.
about it.
He's
He hasn't
talking
done
about,
anything.
exposing Dojo. So there's all this good looking stuff. And then on the other hand, he is, got Elon Musk there, right? Who's kind of questionable. The whole AI, Larry Ellison people, he's got a lot of
I
J
mean, Zuckerberg,
hats
for
and
fuck's sake, come
bankers,
on.
all this stuff. So yeah, what do you think's going on? How do you see all that? Like it's kind of,
I,
he's
I
playing
mean,
both
like
poles,
on
right?
the surface, all his ties have been ultra Zionist from his
Totally.
inception. When
Yeah.
Yep,
Sheldon Anderson was his.
yep.
What did he give him? $100 million when he first ran. So yeah, he's clearly tied. But like the thing is, he's a populist leader. So if they're playing a long game of those staying in charge, there's been like they use this term peak wokeness the other day, and this is how I saw the flip because they're actually saying it's peak, it's hit peak, and it's going
It's
back.
heat. Oh,
And
nice.
I think it's hit peak. It's just about hit peak Zionism too, as far as the exposure. I've never seen as much exposure, and it's coming
Yeah.
through Acts a lot of like just everything from World War II to
But just
like
Palestine
the most.
recently, right? They seem to have lost control of the narrative because with Palestine, there was such a big kickback, and all the governments and countries were like, no, 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 the jihadists are the good people, the Palestinians are bad, kill, and no one was buying it, were they?
I
Really?
just yeah I don't think Israel has a future as its current state. I think that that will crumble eventually. And that's what I meant, as a populist leader, you can't support what the populace doesn't want.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and he's hanging on to, I would say, a large amount of his base. There is the Christian Zionist sect, but then there's the other sect that, oh, Trump's playing a game. Do you know what I mean? We'll support him, but we know what's happening in Israel's not right, but there's some other move playing. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you?
the longer that goes on and nothing is done about Israel, people, you know,
We're going
but
to start asking
and they're
questions.
showing it now too. With, they said we're going to release the Epstein files. We all know whose intelligence agencies connected to that, but then what happened? Nothing happens, right? And so
Not really,
I think
no.
it's showing like the stonewalling of the stranglehold that this little country has
Mm,
over America.
yeah.
So, look, I think they're like, do you know Jerusalem means the city of peace? That's its
Mm-hmm.
etymology.
Mm-hmm. I
And
know.
I've always thought that everything has to hit a center point and balance. So if you're talking about um, like division in every area of our life that's been
Mm.
created, if there's going to be a point of unity, that almost needs to be the center point globally.
Well, maybe they
Yeah.
can't spell and they took it as peace and they thought that they just needed to tear the world to pieces.
Well, I mean, like it's interesting because if you look at the history of the pharaohs and Jehovah, and you go through that history, the biblical history of it, after Jehovah appeared and like released the Hebrews and found his people, and then they were lost in the desert for 400,000 million years, which is a 2-hour drive, by the way, where they spent 40 years.
I heard you say
And
that.
yeah, and
That's
like you've got,
really lost for 40
I
years.
know. But then after that, Jehovah empowered them with the to go and lay siege to every single civilization across the whole Middle East and right through. I mean, hundreds of very advanced, amazing, beautiful, peace-loving civilization they lay slaughtered to with Jehovah's blessing and his technology. And he went ahead and made it happen. And so you've got so much spilt blood and so much genocide over there that like, and I've always believed that spilt blood like that, it just doesn't ever rest and it's never going to thrive in that way. So the whole Middle East area has got so much genocide connected to it, so much karmic genocide connected, so much trauma and just so much. It's layered and layered and layered and layered. There's no life over there. There's
No,
no
man.
nature. There's no earth
Wiped out.
grid connecting it. There's nothing thriving. It's just rock and rubble and sand. Like nothing
Oh.
grows there. You
Maybe
know,
we need to
it's
go and rediscover the ley lines there, right? And turn them back on again.
Doesn't like don't they produce a lot of crop and stuff in Israel?
A lot
I
of
mean,
what?
I've never been over there. What is it? It really is desert. There's got to be
it's
like
it's
pastureland.
true. It's truly desert. Like if you go over there, if you're producing crops, you're doing it using like a lot of like you're
Greenhouses
a
and
big
yeah.
mission to do that. Like it's not, there's water.
It's
There's
not. It's not
water.
like up your way where you can just chuck
No,
something.
there's no soil. There's
No.
no soil anywhere. There's no soil. It's just rock and it's just rock and
Did you
rubble.
get any
Oh no.
Oh, there we go. Good.
Okay, back.
Got
Oh shit! I thought it was
it.
me. Sorry.
All right.
It's right. Who knows where
Yeah.
it
Did
was?
you What happened with the cyclone your way? Nothing. Nothing.
Old
Lots of
Alfred.
rain.
Oh,
Yeah,
Lots and
lots.
Alfred.
lots of rain, but
Oh,
nothing.
but the Gold Coast, fuck, it's lost all its beaches, man. That's
No,
it.
I just saw a video from
Yeah,
1965. And
yeah, we watched it too. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay, it'll come back.
I know, but
Because I
wow,
was
like
looking at that
that's
going, oh, that's horrible. That's sad. Like,
Some of those
yeah,
buildings, man, are now right on the 3 meter
yeah,
bloody drop. Like, I hope none
yeah.
of them fall over.
I mean, I'd say overnight the Gold Coast got totally devalued. Like the property of the Gold Coast just got so devalued. I mean, Mermaid Beach and all the way down that it's all on now on the 3 meter drop of sand. Like it's
mm,
so unstable. Oh my
Mm.
gosh. And like what's the
And
Gold Coast
it's
without its beaches? Oh my God.
how do you
the
even build? How do you build that back up? Does it naturally?
you just build
Nice.
back better, Dale. Come on.
Yeah, yeah. Build back smarter, Dale. Remember better and
Hey,
smarter.
dude, like if that was Dubai, they'd have that sorted in about 3 days.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
dude,
get some
they'd
sand.
have like little islands out, like to to keep it safe. But I mean, isn't the Gold Coast kind of the starting point for this massive high speed railway that they they want to build down the coast. And then also Lismore, Lismore is one of these planned 15-minute cities. So
What's
I think
happened with this? Are they flooded again?
they did, but
Not
nowhere
that,
near as
not
bad
like
as
the other
not
two.
like 2 years ago. Nah, so it did come up, but then it
Oh,
Oh,
poor
stayed
people in
down.
Lismore, man. They must be freaking when that
They're
they've got to
traumatized.
leave, man. They've
I'm
got to
so sorry.
move. They've
It's
got to
horrible.
And
move.
this
Lismore,
is
Tartarian people, you've got to leave Lismore, man. You've got to
come to the
leave. It's going to
Sunshine
keep
Coast.
coming.
Yeah,
It's got to
because they
keep.
want to devalue the land and then they want to, I think they want to mark it as unsafe to live. So literally, if you own land or a house there, it'll just be valued at nothing,
I feel
right?
like it's got to that point now, like because no
They
one, no
won't
one,
insure
no one can
them.
get insurance for
No.
anything.
Yeah,
You're not gonna. You have
yeah.
no
You
Who's
basis.
got
going
to
to
leave.
invest in there? No one's going to invest their money in a place that, that could be washed away in a year or two. And they're going to
Yeah,
keep doing it until they get the land. And like, we're seeing it everywhere, right? With all these different storms, it's to devalue land or to make it unsafe, and then they buy it up cheap and 15-minute cities, right?
I'm
do you
in
know what do you
Australia.
know what I was thinking too? Like I loved seeing these videos of like no one taking it seriously and them surfing and
Yes.
making
Yeah,
fun. Like
yeah,
I was
me
loving that.
too.
But then I was at the same time I'm watching like mum's up there, so mum's always, you know, everything's worse than it is. She's like, "Oh, Dale, you have no idea about it. It's going to be horrible." And then Dad's trying to calm her down, and then it wasn't that bad. But like if you look at the media hype and the government, it was like they were
Man,
prepped
It
for
was a
this.
drill.
I
Don't you
had
think it
Yeah.
was a
people.
drill?
Well, I heard you say that, but then I thought too maybe it was meant to be bigger, and I actually think the best thing energetically was to not take it seriously and everyone going out there and playing, and they really didn't like that because
I totally agree. But I think that's
because
one
the
of their biggest
storms are like,
plans.
yeah, they are like natural reflections of us as well
They
too. So
make us create their plan. They put it out
yeah,
there, like you said, with all the
Yeah.
fear and all
so
over, and everyone
I think the mucking
prepares them.
around, like I think that
The
that could have,
mucking around.
Mucking
yeah, that
around.
actually
Mucking,
kind of
mucking
stopped.
around.
That kind of stopped it. I'm just gonna have a ciggy. Is that all right?
Well,
Well, Kelly
hello.
is. Come on.
But Ken, you're talking to me, man.
I
Um,
don't. I don't have any guilt or shame in having a ciggy when I'm on with you guys. Is that?
yeah, fucking oath.
Thank
Um,
you for letting me be me.
Oh, our pleasure. Be authentic. So, like, I reckon it was a drill because at the end of I think it was manufactured. The fact that it sat off the coast for so long and it kept sucking water up from the ocean and started just rain, rain, rain. Like it all seemed thoroughly unnatural. Every alternative weather channel was like, "What's this? What's this beam of light coming of here? What's this weird thing here?" And it's just like
One
it
of
was
these right
pretty
angles.
validated as not being natural. And then the way the government and the media hyped it up like they were so ready, they'd got the script, they were all on it, they were all focused on it. They shut down every school in Sunshine
And
Coast, all
business.
the businesses, or the shops, or the petrol
Yeah, my
stations.
nephews just went back to school yesterday.
I
It,
know.
it would have cost a fortune, man, especially for all the businesses and
Yeah.
stuff. And it's just
Well,
crazy.
it kind of showed, like we spoke about climate lockdowns 3 or 4 years ago, that this
Yep.
possibility, and you might be right that it's a drill because if
Yeah.
there is a real bad one, like this one wasn't much, and they were able to shut down millions of people for a week.
Yes, and they were using shitty words like it's
They,
time to lock yourself in your
yeah,
house,
they,
like
they actually said
lockdown language,
lockdown
and
on
Did
the
they?
like
news, on the
yeah,
news.
they
Yeah.
they didn't say social distancing, but they said, like they were actually offering, they had $16,000 fines for kids who were like hanging around at the beach or going
Really?
surfing, or yeah, they were
Mm.
fining people massive fines just for
And
ignoring the instructions to be at home.
yeah, 6,000 if you're where you shouldn't be. And then guess how much they gave everyone who was flooded affected?
It was like
Yeah.
$200 or something.
180 bucks. Yeah.
Oh,
We
so
just,
the
well, I'm in Bendigo at the moment, and they just announced another 100 million to Ukraine with the Bushma. It's about a K from where I am now. This is where they make the Bushmasters that they send to Ukraine.
oh my
Jeez,
God.
man.
It's almost it was like a repeat story of what they did in North Carolina,
Yeah,
right?
totally. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Almost a repeat story, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
Well, all that money got stolen and used for bloody five-star hotels for illegals, right? Like all this money that should go towards the countries, it's just being sent out to.
You know, the illegals, like, couldn't they stay in a hotel motel? Like, they gave them
I
five
know,
star,
five
like
star.
50 something million.
I mean, like,
I think they're doing that in Melbourne. I went down and stayed, like, not with
Oh,
in a different way, but like, I stayed in a couple of hotels. This is 99% Chinese,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
right?
Melbourne. Yeah.
but like, and none of that. They don't appear to be like. I don't know if they're permanents. I think they're permanents, but it was that busy. I couldn't. It took that long to wait to get in the lift.
Yep.
And I'm like,
Really?
where'd they all come from? Like, there was always a lot of Chinese in Melbourne, but it's them and Indians now.
I
So
know.
it's so many.
I know so many, and all the Indians own all the petrol stations because all the way through rural Australia
Hey,
is
I
the
went and got a
petrol station.
McDonald's coffee before, and all the staff are Indian in Bendigo.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
Yeah.
that was unheard of.
I
That
know,
was
and I remember watching the news where they were like talking to the Aussies about Cyclone Alfred and like getting out there and speaking, and like half of the audience they were talking to were Chinese or Indian, like, and that was representing the Australian population. We are an op shop. We have been bought out deliberately, and
well,
I would love to think that this drill that they put us through, like on one way, was all about subservience and control and seeing how quickly they could lock us down again. They love practicing that with Australia. But on the other hand, it's good to have some level of like
I heard you say that.
preparation,
Yeah,
yeah, and some level of being able to handle shit that happens and you're kind of like used to the drill. So there's like two sides to it that like,
Mm.
yeah.
yeah,
But
I hear that. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, there always should be, right? If you only got one point of view, being told something.
yeah. There's some silver lining. Yeah, it's a good prep. It's a
so
good.
I want to go back to the dream conversation
Yeah,
because I don't know about you guys, but when I was a child, some of my earliest dreams were around like tsunamis and sort of like massive earth change events. Like some of my earliest
Yeah,
dreams as a
right.
young
Okay.
person. I don't know if you guys remember having any of those, but
No.
I didn't have any language for it, but I was super conscious of this idea of giant waves
Yeah.
and lots of flooding and like an apocalyptic sort of timeline in my lifetime without having any language. I was only a child. So I'm
Mm.
just wondering, like how long this dream control. And since we don't have any understanding of why the fuck we dream and how that's come into our reality, where did that start? When did dreaming become a thing? Like, I don't know if you guys have ever, throughout our study of history, ever come across any sort of like anything that mentions dreams, dreams being a thing. How long has it been around? I mean, we just assume that we've always dreamt, but maybe that's not true. And we've always assumed that we always sleep and that in the sleeping time we have dreams. And that's just our unconscious mind unraveling things. But wow, imagine if the dream consciousness has been a big part of the agenda since the beginning of this last reset. Why not? Why not? And how then easily to influence and manipulate the timeline of a whole world if you're
Mm.
filling them with dreams. And then you look at sort of like people who dream on a religious sense, who have like amazing apparitions and dreams of their gods, of the person that they have all their faith in, speaking to them or coming to them. Like there's a really weird world there
Yeah.
around our dream consciousness. And I'm really highlighting it with the Trump thing because that's a phenomenon. I've heard it so many times that we collectively dreamt of Trump in the 2020 timeline.
That's
Like
crazy.
it's fucking weird. It's
Well, I
weird.
mean, he is a time traveler too, right? So he might have been inserting it in there. I mean, that's a whole another weird narrative, right? But the whole Trump and Elon Musk, the books from 1897, Baron von Trump, and now he's got a son called Baron, and then Werner von Braun wrote a book about people going to Mars, and it was led by Elon. They've started
right.
SpaceX and the Space Force. Trump started, and there's a weird narrative there, right? Tesla's in there with Trump's uncle stealing the all
It's
his
bizarre.
information. Like it's
What the
weird, right?
fuck?
It's
It is
crazy.
weird.
You
It's
can't
fucking
brush it
weird.
off. You can't brush that off.
So,
No.
like, if dreams is something we don't understand, and like way back when I was a child, I was having and I've heard many people in the truth community refer to having dreams as a child of tsunamis and
Yeah, I
like
have too.
earth
I
change.
never
Yeah,
had them, but I've
I
heard of it.
yep. I've
I
heard
never had them.
heaps.
But do you remember that, like at the movies, like one of the movie
Deep
producer
impact.
companies, how they used to have the short things, like the advertisements at the start. There was one that was just it showed you the middle of the ocean with these massive waves. I can't remember
Oh
what the
no.
company was. And that used to freak me out every time, man. Like I don't know
Okay.
why. I'd be just like, oh my God, it really freaked me out.
Interesting.
That was my
So,
only
like
water thing.
back then, if we're talking about being manipulated as children, then we weren't surrounded by the same level of technology as we are today, right? So it can't be dependent on the tech that's grown up with us.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
has to be beyond that and past that, that somehow there's an ability to manipulate our dreamscape beyond current technology.
Yeah,
you
well,
know,
different
and
interfaces, right? Like we talked about, back in the past, they always spoke to ponds or to mirrors, or they went to oracles and things, which were just these buildings, and they'd get all these messages. So there's all these other ways that they might have been interfacing with what we're calling AI at the moment, right? This other whatever it is.
I mean, what happens when we go to sleep? Like step by step, we shut our eyes, we sit in darkness, we shut our eyes, we lie down. We like slowly let sleep ascend upon us, and then we're unconscious. I mean, would you say it's equivalent to being unconscious, sleeping? Like,
Yeah.
how would you look at this idea
Well,
of
what
sleeping?
about like remember when you blindfolded yourself?
Yes.
So how
Yeah,
did
that
you
was
know?
true.
Because
Well,
that's kind of because you're almost like merging the two different worlds there too, because you're waking up but you're not really awake. So like what
yes.
do you know what I mean?
Yes, it's weird. Like, yes,
Definitely
But
made
that's
stronger
probably the one
sense.
thing that was the most obvious thing of the whole thing because I was expecting my senses to develop, my other senses. I
mm,
was expecting my hearing or my sense of smell or something else to sort of start to kick in at a higher level because
mm,
I'd removed my eyes out of the equation. But actually, one of the most obvious things that happened after that was the time when you are asleep and then you wake up, but you're still in darkness and your eyes are still essentially closed. And even like, because I couldn't, like, I had pads on them, so I couldn't like open them. And yeah, you've got this like longer and longer period between being awake and being asleep. Like your eyes determine a lot in this like awake sleep process.
Yeah,
So
you
by not
yeah.
having, yeah, it just
Circadian
went
rhythms,
on.
right? And all the light
because
that wakes us up and puts us to sleep. All
yeah,
the
yeah.
yeah.
Well,
It, well,
that made
it
me
fucks with
think about
that.
because I had this one dream. I still remember it was so vivid, but it was in the middle of the day, and that when I dream the most is when you're not supposed to sleep.
Yeah,
It's
napping.
like if you've
Yes.
laid down, you've had a nap, and you've accidentally fallen asleep at 12 o'clock in the day.
Yep,
They're the most vivid ones,
yep.
and I think it's because like you're probably not you've like entered the realm, the other realm when you're not meant to.
It's interesting. Yeah,
You
and
know what
you
I
know
mean?
what? You've entered the other side of the world's realm because half the people are sleeping and
Interesting.
dreaming at
Yeah,
that
right.
point. So that's interesting. I agree with you.
But I
I'm a big fan of naps, and I
yeah, yeah,
also dream a lot in my
in the
napping
day
time
one.
during the day. Yep,
Yeah, they're the
And
biggest ones I have. But I remember reading David Wilk. He wrote this book, Awakening in the Dream, and
yep,
so he kept a dream dictionary, a dream
yep,
journal for years.
journal.
yep. Mm.
Yeah.
But because he talks about the theta state when you're in that half, because when you're that's when you remember the dream, and
Yeah.
that's sometimes when you've had a real vivid one. It takes about 10 minutes to realize that you didn't lose your license or
Yeah,
you didn't
yeah,
you didn't
yeah.
punch your mate in the head or whatever. Because you wake, you're like, oh shit, like that really happened. It takes a little bit of time. So I don't know. I think it's kind of like Avatar. You never sleep, right? Like you go out of one and then he wakes up in the other, and it's
Well,
just full
h-
time
h-
awakening.
how can you go to sleep for 8 hours and wake up tired?
Yep,
Exactly. Yeah.
yep.
And
Like
Because
sometimes
what?
you're
more and
exhausted.
more,
Mm,
people, I'm waking up tired more and more
mm.
recently than
So,
ever before.
so what are
So,
we actually doing in our dreams? Like
right.
what is that?
So could we create a theory that actually the true manipulation and the true enslavement of the human race is happening when we're asleep in our dreamscape? That it's
Well,
actually
Dark City,
that's
right?
yeah, very much like Dark City. Like it really does promote this idea that, the world is actually being charged and
Changed.
guided when we're dreaming and in our sleep. So that, like our waking life is sort of like just a side effect. It's like it's the opposite paradigm, that it's actually the dreaming sleep thing that's actually where the real conflict's happening or the real war is happening versus when we're
It's
awake and we just get to see it and it's really fucking annoying,
Well,
you know?
Jason spoke about that too. Who was he saying? He's saying that that's when what does he call it? The simulacrum or whatever. That's when it actually it starts to move into whatever you're manifesting the night before this, and that the sleep period is when the building blocks of the matrix occur to move forward
Dark
into the
City.
next day because you can never he was saying like you can't manifest the day of you're doing something,
Oh, okay. It's
that
always
it
the
has to
next
happen the
day.
next day, but then you put the intent and the action towards that day, then you go to sleep and then beep 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 everything starts to move
Okay.
Hmm.
Well, that's
throughout.
Neville Goddard says that it's always at night time that you need to imprint what you want, and yeah, for the next day. So that's
So
interesting.
maybe there's like two realities, and they need to commingle, but you need to be like in almost like parking the car. Do you know what I mean? And then it starts to move, and then it plays forward in this lifetime.
Yeah, yeah. It's like we're
Yeah.
saying this is the script we want or whatever, and then we write the code at nighttime and wake up into that reality kind of thing.
Which then it brings forward to like the whole Trump thing. Then, if you can then interfere with dreams, you're actually
Oh,
manifesting,
interfering. Yeah.
decoding a whole new reality, right?
So,
Because if you're interfering in the dream state, then it's gonna manifest in the awake
the way
one.
they want it. Very Dark
Yeah,
City, right? You
Yeah.
move all the pieces around while people are asleep and they wake up going, what the hell's going
I,
on?
I think that's what they're doing. I think that's it.
I mean, it's
Wow.
interesting because we're like sort of programmed to put all our energy into like moving the chess pieces of our physical waking life around. That it's our waking life that represents our success or our failure or our good efforts. It's always about seeing the physical world around you. But in actual reality, if the true work, if it's meant to be, if we're meant to take charge of ourselves, it may be in the dreamscape. It may
Mm,
be in this time. Like that's where the charge has to happen versus all the physical effort we do moving the chess pieces around in our physical life. So
mm.
if that's the case, how often has the whole world just dismissed dreams and sleeping? Like we're programmed to think sleeping is do nothing. You're going to do nothing when you sleep. It's a time of rest. And dreaming is irrelevant because you can't control them. They're meaningless. They're just like a lofty thing that happens that we don't really understand. It's just like your unconscious mind. So they've sort of dismissed and hidden potentially the true building blocks of our reality. So we never put any energy or time or any discipline around our sleeping or our dreamscape,
No.
ever.
What's lucid dreaming, right? Like some people can wake up and control it. And then the other thing is
Yeah.
how much effort goes in to babies to get them into a routine of
Of
sleeping,
sleeping.
right?
Yeah,
It's a
Mm-hmm.
true.
big thing,
True.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And we know babies never want to go to sleep, but you have to build up this routine to get them into it, to get them used to sleep. So by the time we're, one, right? We're being programmed with this. You have to sleep so often and sleep once a day, and so are we supposed to lucid dream? But that gets programmed out of us. But a few people, get through, and they're the lucid dreamers, right? Who can go in and play with the code, I guess, right? While they're sleeping, build the world that they want to inhabit, or that's what they're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And is that the deal, maybe? That
And the whole personal development movement is all about, and the health
I
movement is
watched
all
it.
about getting 8 hours of
well,
sleep,
and,
getting heaps of sleep, getting on top of your cortisol levels. If you don't go to sleep, you're going to be all fucked up with your hormones.
yeah, yeah.
You're going to be messed up. You got to do your 8 hours. Like it's a real programmed event that happens every single day. And the worst thing is that time is speeding up. You would agree with that, Dale. Would you agree
Oh
that
my
fucking time is
God.
speeding up?
Like that's with Trump too. Like that's what they say about him. He doesn't sleep. Like
Yeah.
remember when he
Yeah,
was
I
doing
heard
like
that. Yeah,
he
yeah.
was doing all these, when he was doing like 5, 6 rallies a day, and then he'd get like, especially when you're like 80 years old, you can't run off 3 hours sleep a night. Do you know what I mean?
Apparently,
Well,
yeah.
unless you
Well,
can.
Unless
And,
you can.
we've just programmed ourselves that we can't. And we've like listened to all these specialists that tell us it's the worst idea ever. You're gonna,
mm.
you're not restoring your chemicals aren't restoring, your body needs time to regenerate. Like it's all
That's
happening
how
when you're
you grow.
asleep.
You only grow in your sleep. But I mean, isn't it interesting that they call goals dreams? What's your
Yes.
what's your dream? Like
Good point.
literally, that like is that telling us that well, your dreams are built in your dreams? Oh, did we freeze again? Oh no, we're
There we
back.
go.
Very good.
Yeah, I mean that's a very interesting correlation too, right? As
Hmm.
far as the conversation, is that the deal? The dream is literally the dream. Build your dreams in your dreams.
And then there's like daydreaming, because that's where you're consciously not really there. Your mind or your spirit or whatever's somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I mean, either way, we've got an interesting phenomena around dreamscapes with the Trump dreams. That's interesting. That's worth like sort of
Yeah.
getting everyone to make a comment on
Yeah, yeah,
because
leave,
that
yeah.
shows to me that they have the technology to basically input dreams across the realm when they want. They've got that possibility. Like it is because it's uncanny to me. I mean, the dreams everyone was having were basically all the same dreams in the context that related to them, but all coming out feeling positively charged about Trump. Like that was the dream. And I mean, I don't know anyone I can ask, but I am going to start asking around to
Mm.
my vax lefty friends to see if they've had nightmare dreams, to see if there's a
I
correlation
want to know.
with the massive emotional surge around this one leadership, you know? I mean, I don't think anyone's had a dream about our prime minister.
In
I
which
mean,
that could be the case. If that is happening, Callie, if you do get that data,
mm,
then that tells me that there is possibly two types of AI, which that's kind of what I've always theorized, that there is a light and a
mm,
negative
hmm.
artificial intelligence, and that
Yep,
they're warring it out just like everything else.
yep.
Mm.
Um,
Well, this is like we've been sort of talking about is, how old is artificial intelligence, and it's to do with the charge and the interface. But when you look at our history and also their plans, right? They're like hundreds of years ahead. Like, how do you work? Like, is that all written by AI? Like by the negative influenced AI
It
that
would
this
make
whole
sense.
plan? And
I don't
is
think it could
is
be any
dreams
other
part of
way.
it? Did it come up with, well, the way that you create the world and manifest you create it in your dreams. So number one, tell people that dreams don't mean anything because we get told, oh, it's just a dream. It's just a dream.
Yep.
I mean, that's the first thing we get taught in school, right? Leave your imaginary friend at the door. All this spiritual, outer physical stuff is crap and stupid, and dreams are just dreams, right?
Oh, and then you add that horrible underbelly of Donald Marshall. Do you remember the Donald Marshall tapes? Did you? Oh, Dale, you never got Donald Marshall like came out and he was basically saying that he is imprisoned in the clone centers and he's basically
And
responsible for
that guy.
writing all of the music, all of the popular music,
oh,
all the
okay.
hit
Yeah,
songs.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. So he was explaining that when celebrities or when they go to sleep, then they're actually they switch over and wake up into their clone
Clone.
self in this
Yeah.
other like reality basically, and then they're just they're abused and raped and whatever like, but like that he was talking about there being this like really sophisticated technology that would pull them out of their body once they're asleep and reanimate their consciousness somewhere else, and that he was trapped in that cycle. And it's like, that's sort of like, why not?
I've heard
So,
some, yeah, stories about that. Have you heard the latest one that's just gone viral all over the net, that these Alites have parties and they eat mermaids?
No.
no. What?
It's just come up like
Oh,
literally
shut the fuck up.
3 or 4 days ago.
What?
It's everywhere. It's gone
They eat
viral, man.
mermaids?
Mermaids.
Apparently they have mermaid parties and they have these fishermen,
What?
like these boats that go out and catch mermaids and sell them for
Wow.
all this money. And these people, I guess it's a bit like the spirit cooking thing, right? They all get round and they all eat mermaid. And then in
Whoa,
Japanese
man.
culture, it says that eating mermaid gives you extended life.
Wow.
So
Whoa.
that's just a little interjection, like.
That's so weird and interesting. I got like I agree that mermaids exist, and I think that we've got whole realms of possibilities under our oceans of civilizations that are there. And I was actually thinking this morning before we had this conversation, if Jay's right about all the water suddenly going levitating up into the firmament out through the hole in the dome, like and we suddenly had all the oceans had disappeared. Have you heard this, Dale? Yeah, like so and all the ocean disappeared. I imagine what
What's
civilizations would be
down there?
exposed. So we're going to see like these huge domes of civilizations, this concept of mermaids. It doesn't seem unrealistic to me, I mean, plus with all the Phoenician
Yeah,
history
the
of them
water
appearing
and
from out of the
and
water.
maritime law. Yeah,
Yeah, and then you've got all the like symbology around like the mermaid with like Starbucks and like all that sort of mermaid
yeah, and the
context.
sirens, which are mermaids pretty much, and all. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, but like to have mermaid
Well,
eating
you know what I
parties,
was thinking?
that's fucking fucked up.
It is, isn't
On
it? I know.
have you seen these ones? Because I was going to go through. Oh wait, you're frozen.
Nah,
No.
we're here.
No, no, you're there.
Yep.
You're there. So they got that Alexander Fountain in Bendigo, and it was opened by Prince Albert and King George in was it early 1901 or something
Yeah,
like that.
probably 01.
But
I think
on
they came.
the yeah, so the statue, it's a big fountain in the middle of the
Mm.
city of Bendigo. And I know like the roundabouts they put in portals as well too, but that one is horses with fishtails. Have you seen them before?
I
I've
fucking
seen
remember
something
this.
similar
Yes.
at I think the World's Fair, Columbia Exposition, I think had a similar kind of thing with,
Yep.
yeah, with
Mm.
horses, and yeah, the back ends
So we're
fish.
going through
Yeah.
there on my tour, and I know nothing about that symbology, so I don't know what to tell anyone. So have you got anything?
Well, I'm sure
Gosh,
there'll be someone
I'm
in the
like, yeah,
audience
there's
who has
just some
lots to
horse.
say.
it's a mer horse. Yeah, I'm not
I'm just
sure.
like, there's some horse fish hybrids, but
Well, I mean, the
yeah,
mermaid conversation is pretty big. Like it's been definitely it, the mermaid thing has wound its way through our whole history of what we think's happened. Like, but we don't get I guess we don't talk about it as much because obviously we focus on what's on the land. But
Yeah,
yeah, the
and
mermaid
also it's
context
silly, right?
big.
We're taught from day dot. We all know what a mermaid is, but we're taught, oh no, they've never existed. It's just silly. If you actually take it, for real, you're an idiot.
Nah,
I
I've
So
think
seen
you didn't
heaps.
you didn't you I think you
Yeah,
saw the video, Callie, and it was they got people that were intercepting radar or whatever, like
yep,
speech of whales, but they were picking up like this
yep,
oh,
like
well, how's
intricate
this?
yep.
intricate communication in the sea, and then they actually found like bones of a mermaid and all this.
Yes,
Like that was
Wow,
yes.
cool. That one that you
probably.
sent me, I don't know who
And
that
we
was.
have them, they've washed up, yes,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
fishermen have
There's
found them.
quite a few videos and stuff online, but did you know that there's one animal in the world that it's illegal to talk to?
I didn't know this. This is fucking weird.
What
Dolphins. It's illegal to talk to dolphins.
are you talking about? What
Yeah,
are
It's
you
a
I know, it's
law.
strange.
Like,
It is not.
yes, it is, man. It's illegal to talk.
What is that international law? Or is that a law?
Yeah,
Where?
yeah. It's enforced by the Navy and by different countries.
So you mean like technology communication, or like you can't jump off
No,
the
no,
side of
like
a
literally,
head dolphin?
yeah, yeah. You can't like. There's some dolphins walk in and start talking to them. It's illegal. I mean, it's like what a weird thing. Like,
It
isn't
is
that
so,
just
that is
weird?
so weird.
And
That's so
and
weird.
You know, I had one when I was I just left Bendigo and I didn't know where I was going that, and I actually was in the Gold. I was at Burleigh. I was swimming, and I shat myself because I thought it was a shark. It came and it
yeah,
swam
right.
right like 2 meters in front of me,
Yeah.
and then it did a big jump, and then it started swimming. It was a dolphin, just started swimming around. I've never had that before. It was really
Mm,
cool, but I
mm.
shat my pants at the start. Thought it
Yeah,
was a shark.
I know, right? Oh God, I would too.
Well, I mean, the context of dolphins, like in my life, I remember in like, essentially they're renowned for making up the holographic grid, the true matrix of this realm. Like the whales and the dolphins are meant to be the holders of the true matrix, the organic matrix.
Mm,
They come up all
I believe
over
that.
looking at the holographic realm is
totally.
dolphins and whales. And
Yeah.
like to go back, and whether this is accurate or not, if you go back through sort of like our more alien history, with the Anunnaki, etc., like the story that I'd have on dolphins and whales is that they were Syrians that like came down to bring their presence and their wisdom to this realm and
Yeah.
ended up half
Yeah.
choosing to stay
Well,
as dolphins and whales. And if humans
I've heard
left,
that autistic. I heard autistic kids are dolphins.
yes.
Have you heard that?
Yep, yep, yep.
oh, well, that makes so much
And
sense,
birth
doesn't
And,
as
it?
well.
and especially dolphins, I feel they're kind of like horses of the sea too. And autistic kids
Mm,
have this really strong draw to horses as well. They do a lot of
Okay.
horse therapy.
they
Well,
do.
But did you ever see? Did you ever see In the End by Linkin Park? Remember that music video?
nothing in the end, nothing really
I don't remember
matters.
Doesn't
it.
That
even
one.
matter.
I
Anyway,
can't.
go watch it after this. It's really cool. He actually, the whole thing, he enters this dystopian world, but he
Oh,
walks out of this thing, and it's like a pendulum. But he enters the middle, but he comes out on the head of the goddess Sophia, which is like from the fall of the Gnostics and stuff. But the whole music video, the world starts to start. It's all dead and dry, but there's a whale that swims around in the background, but they never observe. They don't look at it, so it's there, but they don't know it's there. And then everything starts rejuvenating and turning green again, and then the whale comes back and appear, and it kind of telling you that that's like the anomaly or like the elixir that's kind of always there, and it's yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Well, do you know
And
how dolphins
it's
sleep?
kind of like the whale is the memory of what of the intuition and what really is, and
Yeah.
but it's kind of because they're not observing it, and it's showing you that it's actually weaving all these patterns. Anyway,
The
it's
knowledge,
Yep.
really
yeah.
cool music video.
Yeah, dolphins, do you know how they sleep?
No,
Because obviously they're underwater, right? And then so dolphins and whales, they sleep by turning half of their brain off and they
oh, that's
function on half for like 4 hours, whatever, and then they switch over to the other side so that they sleep
Wow.
half at a time. So they're never
yeah,
actually
wow.
Jeez.
conscious.
Is
So
that
that's
what we do?
interesting.
Is
It's an
that
int
what we do, Campbell Purvis?
it's
I
interesting,
Well,
mean,
right?
the dreaming's all right hemisphere, isn't it?
Well, this is what they
I
tell
don't
us.
think
That's the
so.
creative side, but I mean,
Well,
No.
that's have you
the
heard
left
of
side would give the structure to it, you know?
yeah have you
Well,
heard of like, the Roman god Janus?
Yeah, yeah,
yep.
the double-faced god.
Yeah, because that's what he's supposed to be like the different. He actually is the god of gateways and portals and
Yes.
all that kind of stuff. But he shows that there's these two sides of reality, but they're not really communicating. But Janus actually can form a gateway and a portal in which you then enter.
Yeah, right. Janus is interesting. That's why we got January. They say it's looking forward,
January, yeah,
looking back. And there's also a Janus Island at at the poles. There's one up near the Arctic and one near the Antarctic. Like
right.
gateways, right? Portals, who knows?
Well, I mean, that's really interesting to me to look at it's talking about whales turning off half their brain. Because like last week or whatever it was, I was talking to you about why does the human being have basically two brains split in, like why is it split in
Yeah,
half?
yeah,
Why
yeah.
have we got
What?
the split
Yeah,
in half? And I was relating it back to the story of the original pharaohs and how we were upgraded by the Anunnaki, and like, and in order to get advanced
yeah,
souls
yeah,
to
yeah. Right.
inhabit our body, they had to split our brains in two so that they could sustain the life in our body, because we had like we'd just been
But-
evolutionaryized like 200,000 years advanced of our own experience, advanced of our own wisdom by being upgraded with our brain. That the only way we could like inhabit this body with our energy and not explode it or kill it, and then have our process, our natural organic process to earning and advancing our own wisdom, was to divide the brain in two, so that a
Mm,
lot of our
the
energy then becomes
conflict.
polarized,
Yeah.
because our two brains polarize our reality, and then they're sort of like basically beating each other up. So we
Mm,
spend a lot of our time not knowing how to use our brain because it's basically being divided into. We're fighting each other ourselves all the time, and we can
yeah.
never have a holistic thought. So maybe the process of the divided brain is how they can manipulate our dreamscape. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe there is a connection there, because we actually exist in this crazy paradoxical reality
And
where,
maybe, yeah, you go.
well, I'm just saying, where we
Mm,
literally we know duality and polarization, and our brain represents that. Like there is no, if we were to advance into our true masterful advanced, if we were any one of these advanced races, because whenever you think about aliens or extraterrestrials or people who came down and manipulated humans, they're always advanced, right? They're always advanced on us. They're never at our level. We're like the fucking imbecile manipulated lab rats. Like they are the advanced ones. So they have integrated with advanced intelligence and created interfaces to bring that advanced intelligence into their lives in a way that has advanced their whole realm. And so, like, here we stand in this ridiculously polarized reality. Like, I mean, honestly, I can only imagine that in the future from now, we would look back at this time and think, oh my God, can you believe that we were operating using only one side of our brain? Like that our brain was like cut in half. Like we couldn't even sustain not even one holistic thought.
mm.
Like,
Well, what
You,
if
you
that's
even
the
see
game?
it politically though too, with the right wing is
yes,
Right
being
and
more like
left.
logical, and
Yeah.
the left wing is more like on emotions, and neither of them are wrong, but they're like two
It's
parts of the brain that aren't communicating with each other, so
yes,
yeah,
they
yeah. So
can't
if we could run on
with
just one side, we would alleviate that conflict, right? For at least for that time. We'd be able to run just on creativeness and not have the
yeah,
left
but then
mate going, "You suck, you can't do that. Don't be shit." We would
that's why
pull
I've
it
heard
through,
with
maybe.
I've heard with like abuse. Sorry, Campbell.
No, you go. I'm done.
Like with abuse survivors in recovery and stuff, a lot of the things they do is being because they've had their brain disorientated and fragmented, that it's about connecting
Well,
both hemispheres. So it's any
yeah.
activity that's like swimming and all that, like creative thing, like music and learning music and stuff, like where you're connecting both hemispheres of the brain is really good for recovery.
Yeah, well, they used to cut the corpus callosum for people who had massive epileptic fits
Yeah.
because they said it was interference to the two halves of the brain, right? They couldn't, quite work together. And so they would cut the brain into two. Like the corpus callosum is all the fibers that connect the two halves, and they would cut it, and these people would stop having epileptic fits.
But the other experiment, they did this on mice because they want to know where mice store their memory. So they like cut the front half of the brain out and they put them through the
Mm.
mice maze
Yep.
and stuff. And then the mice would still remember. And then they took out the back bit of the brain. It didn't matter what part of the brain they took out, the memory was still always there. And that kind of goes into, the hologram and fractals and that, because every single part's stored in the brain, even if you've taken that part out
Yep.
as well too. But it definitely affects cognition, so your ability to move through the realm
Well,
and
it's an interesting question. Is like, where is consciousness not stored, I guess, but where does it live? Because I remember another story like this lady, they were doing brain scans, and basically she only had her the top, what's it called? The top, the top layer, the cerebral cortex, is that it? And didn't have any, like, then it was empty, the rest of it. And they're like, how's she living that? But she was a really intelligent top executive, never had any problems, and
yeah.
she literally had like half the brain that everyone else has, just the top. So
And then look at
it's
someone
a
like
receiver, right?
who's that big personal guy what's his name,
Tony,
Tony
Tony
Anthony
Tony.
Robbins.
Robbins, who like was famous for having a tumor in his brain, and which was his like enlightenment into his intelligence. So like something
Ah, that's
holistic occurred in his brain that gave him much more scope to
apparently.
understand
Well,
certain. I mean,
did
I'm just
you?
thinking like if we were in, sorry, Campbell, go ahead.
I was just going to say, do you remember that show Network from the 70s, a movie? And it was about this a newsreader, and he started like basically telling everyone about, what the world was, right? It's like a, sort of
Oh
conspiracy
yeah.
type movie, and he's there and he's going, "Don't listen to me. This is all false. Go and live your lives." And at the end, they found out he had a brain tumor, and that was giving him all this information. So that's interesting.
Right.
Yeah, because the tumor might like bridge the two, like create holistic thinking. So
Oh, like a
would you
yeah.
guys think that when we go to sleep that we switch off the right side of our brain, or we switch off the left side? Like, do you think that one half of our brain gets switched? I mean, one would say that that creative, intuitive
Is
energy
enhanced.
is awake when you're asleep, but our intellectual, action focused reality is not. Our logical reality is asleep. Like that, sleeping seems to activate one side and put the other side into like non-action.
Well,
I mean,
maybe.
it's interesting. Yeah.
I mean, maybe because, like
Mm.
visualization is very big as far as, like manifesting all this stuff, right? Creating things. And so that's the right side. So is that how it works? That you give it the picture and what you want with one half, and then the other half writes the code and works out how it's all going to work.
Yeah.
I
I don't
mean, enough people have kept dream journals like David Wilcock, where, all their predictions of their life and all of that's come out of their dream diary, like a guide to their future basically has come out of their dream diary.
Well, his are like prophetic when he reads them from like 20 years
Yep.
ago, and then he'll
Yep.
read it, and it relates to that day that he reads
Yep.
it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Really?
So,
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, he's doing them now.
yeah.
I've been listening to some of them. He goes through and he's picking up. He's like January 21st, 1999, and then he reads what's happening now, and he's like, I've just read this today, and
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Interesting. Yeah, I've seen he's back on because he took a big hiatus, but he's back on YouTube now, isn't he?
Yeah, I've
Oh,
tried watching
David.
a little bit. He does like 5 hour things. I'm like, dude, it's
Yeah.
too much.
Yeah.
But
I
do you know
used to
the other
love
one?
him.
I was looking in reverse speech a lot early in the year, and it's the same. So when they do reverse speech, they've done scans on on the brain, and when people are interpreting reverse speech, it's all done in the right hemisphere of the brain,
Mm.
and
Interesting.
they've shown the babies talk in reverse before they have forward speech. So they've actually
Mm.
that,
Oh, are
and
we
then
talking in reverse? Does that mean? Yeah.
yeah, so they're saying they're picking up babies before they can even form words, and they're listening to the reverse speech, and they're actually making
They're
coherent
saying
words.
stuff. So
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
the Google
Wow.
Goggles. Wow.
Wow. So that's fascinating because
But
that,
that's all coming supposedly this David Oates guy who's like he's like the world renowned guy for it. He said that it's coming from the unconscious.
That's crazy. Because
But
like,
I've been doing a lot of Trump's reverses, like from some of his
oh,
speeches last year. And do you know what? Like this is why I kind of think Trump actually displays authenticity if you look at reverse speech. So that doesn't mean what he's doing is good or bad or whatever, but it means whatever is working through him forwardly in his forward speech actually matches his reverse speech. Um, so whereas you do it on like like if someone's a liar, it will come up in their reverse speech. So I was looking at ones at Kamala, and Kamala, what she says forward is the opposite of what she says reverse, whereas Trump's generally
okay, I got you.
matches what he says in reverse. So it's
Mm.
and I'm not saying that's good or bad, but I'm saying that whatever he's picking up on, he actually believes what he says,
Yeah, yeah.
whether it's some sort of program
Interesting.
or whatever. But yeah.
Well, how weird was that geezer, like fucking geezer video he put out on his
Oh
channel?
yeah, the
That was
Palestine.
fucking weird.
From Gaza. From
And it was the worst timing for me because I just
oh
like
dude.
upset everyone at Carbonate and I was like, guys, you can't be so insanely one-sided here. And then the next day out came that video and they were just like, fuck you, motherfucker. You're
That
so
was
fucking
very
delusional.
provocative.
It
That
was
was,
full on, like why
interesting.
and what and how. So I that would be interesting reversed. I'd love to see what that came up
Oh,
as
that's yeah,
Oh,
reversed.
yeah. Okay, I'll
interesting.
do that. I'll
Yeah.
do that. But I think that it was done by AI, wasn't it? And he just
Yeah.
reposted it.
Well, that's a
Yeah,
very, he
yeah.
would have known
He
the
would have
impact of
approved
reposting
it.
that.
Of course.
That
Yeah.
upset everyone across both spectrums, no matter who you were supporting.
It's weird what's going on there because he did a thing with Netanyahu, and I was listening to the journalists, and they're like, well, it's basically officially an ethnic cleansing if they can't come back. It's like job complete. And then well, the question from one of the reporters was like, well, are the settlers from the neighboring country, are they allowed to come in? And he's like, no, 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 there won't be no settlers either. So it's like, what the fuck's going
Into
on?
Palestine,
Yeah, well, into Gaza
into
specifically.
Gaza specifically. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
so
right.
Because
destroyed
that
over
was the
there.
whole thing that, like they just had to take that bit out, and then that continues the Great Israel Project, and then they've got all that pipeline and the canal that they're going to run through as
I
well.
saw a map the other day and I couldn't believe how small Gaza is and how big Israel is now.
Funny.
Like at the start, Israel was this tiny little dot in this big land, and now it's completely the opposite. Gaza's this tiny little dot in this other big
Mm.
land. It's
I wonder if anyone's ever like correlated the Earth, the world map to the brain hemispheres. I wonder if like I mean it's interesting to think about that little spot on planet Earth being like a tumor or something that's like,
oh,
I mean it's just weird. It's just a weird side thought. I mean, because everything, as you said, is fractal. Everything's fractal.
But yeah, it has to be. It
So
has to
our
be.
brain, yeah, our brain must be a fractal of the whole of our reality.
So I wonder
So
if you split it northern southern hemisphere, what would be
yeah,
the left and
yeah,
the right?
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
interesting.
Definitely.
I mean, yeah. Look, fellas, like there's so much to go through with this. I mean, I just think fucking hell. Like, not only have we got a crazy, friggin' insane world around us, now we have a crazy internal dreamscape world going on. Like, what are we in all of this? Doesn't it make you just feel like, I don't know, like, what are you? What are you in all of this? What are we? Are we just like antennas? Are we just like radio stations? Are we just
Yeah,
broadcasting a radio station individually? Like, what the fuck are humans in the middle of all of this?
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Walking radio receivers. I mean, that's probably a good.
How did we get in the middle of all of this?
it's very daunting when to think that if your dreams are being artificially manipulated,
Oh, God.
that you die and go to an afterlife that's possibly artificially manipulated,
God.
and then your own walking life, and then you have to start thinking about everything that you believe in. Has that been manipulated? You almost just have to start at square one. But I think it's the intuition. It comes back to that again. Nothing can you can
Yeah,
study whatever you want,
I
and
agree. I
it's
think
just it's never gonna.
unless you know who you are and you trust yourself, I don't think you're ever going to go forward in any real way, right? And I think that's what a big or what all this manipulation is, and all this white noise out in the outer world is just to get our attention. And maybe the game is to realize it's all bullshit, right?
Well, I mean,
Oh,
if you want to throw your dreams into that category as well, that's like
well,
that's let's look at both of them. So
this
what have you
is
got left
Well,
then?
yeah,
What you've got
this is
left
the
is your
problem with
intentions.
self-help, right? Is everything that goals and everything you want is outside of you. It's money, it's physical, right? Houses and cars and all this stuff and the buff body and rah 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 and none of it's like with becoming a better person.
Well, I mean, but in order to get all those things, you actually have to feel your way towards them. And to feel your way towards them, you are
That's the
rising your
balance.
vibration.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
like when I was doing my intuitive writing this morning, part of the Get Your Shit Together hour, everyone, which you really should be joining us on because now is the time to take hold of your own charge and be in charge of your life. Can't say that enough. It came out over and over again that like all we've actually got, all the human being has got is focus. That's it.
Yes,
We've got
totally. Yeah.
focus. We've got our ability to focus on something, anything we want, but that's what we have. Like if we were to strip back everything else and all the delusions and confusions and all the shit and all the biology, all the chemicals, all the cell, all that, we've got this ability to focus our brains in a holistic manner, do we not? We can focus, like it's probably the only time that you actually use your brain holistically when you're focusing on something. Because when you're focusing on something, you're only thinking like that. You're thinking in this one direction. There's no boom, boom, there's no fight going on, right? You're
Yeah.
focusing as far as the human signature, focus is what we've got, and that's so often lost on us, and we so often give our focus away all the time to all sorts of stupid shit all the time, when actually our focus is the only thing that moves anything around our reality.
Right.
It's the only thing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the only thing that creates anything or does anything or
It's clearly powerful because that's why there's so much energy into making us lose our focus, right? Look here,
yeah.
look over there, and don't do that. This person said it was stupid. Don't do that. Your teacher will laugh at you.
And you
And
wake up tired these days, and time's moving so much quicker, and it's a lot less grounding, and there's so much going on politically and around the world and changes. It's all designed to not have you focus
yeah, totally.
in
100%.
essence.
Yep.
But when we focus, and like now that we've had this conversation, I'm actually going to start to like focus before I go to bed. I'm going to focus because if I think about it visually, then all the times I'm not focused on something, which is a lot of the time, really, realistically, how often are we actually focused? Because when we are focused on something, it comes into a clear, sharp image, doesn't it? Like the clear, sharp view, and then
And
all the rest is
that's when
blurry.
time slows down too. You know, when you're like
Yes.
really like I remember my university days and stuff when I'd have to cram an assignment or an essay, and I'd start it at 10 o'clock at night and finish at 6 in the morning. It was like a blink of an eye because it was just
Yep.
steadfast focus on that one. It's the same thing when you do a presentation too. When you get up in
Yep.
front of people, you be there 5 hours and you're like, what?
What? Yeah,
Where
exactly.
did that energy come from? And like, how did that time go? You don't know because you're really hooked into what you're doing.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when we're unfocused, which for most of us is 99% of the time,
Yeah.
realistically, we're living in a blur. Like it's like looking through binoculars that aren't focused, right? It's really blurry, and you're just going through this like repetitive, like unconscious process. And everything in our reality, we would say, is very obviously geared towards keeping us unfocused. Even like all the interference from technology, the blue light, the fucking 5G, all that stuff is all designed, or the poison they've put in the food chain. I would say that we could make a theory that everything that's been done detrimental to the human being has been about causing them to be out of
More
focus,
focus.
out of focus, out of focus, out of focus, out of focus. And as soon as we're out of focus, we do very little, but just like basically fill in the one that's got the focus. We fill it in. We become the workers, the energy givers, the ones that do it, So,
Is that why
and
some
if
people wouldn't need glasses, right? Because
I
they
mean,
can't focus.
if artificial intelligence has, if sorry, I'm going to correct that. If advanced intelligence has been behind the insane ability to rewrite our history, the insane ability to concoct all of these delusions and lies to reset us over and over. If it's behind that, then we, when we're out of focus, are just filling in that focus. We are filling in their focus. But
Yeah,
as soon as we become focused and the image gets sharp and we clear on that image and we stay on that image and we can see that image, then that's when shit changes, right? That's what you would call like manifestation.
I feel you're very good at that though, Kelly. With
Yeah,
that,
it's a natural part of my
yeah,
engine. But
yeah.
like I'm also really shit at it, Dale, because like I have not been doing that. Like I can be a very grumbly, cynical bastard. I'm sorry, but that's true. I can be a grumpy rat head.
I think you just display every part of the process that you're going through, though. Whereas, like,
Yeah.
I try to pretend to be upbeat when I'm not thinking it. Whereas you're like, nah, that's not happening today.
I know.
I
I
remember
know.
being one with you guys. I thought I was you were just fucking rambling. You're upset. You're pissed off at what.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like I
But
put it
that's
out
cool.
there.
I think that's good. I think that's
But
good.
I
That's
think there's
important.
something to say about all of this. Like, I mean, I know we're kind of been verging on it with the Get Your Shit Together album. It's becoming more and more in my focus that we have to be in charge of ourselves. Like, we have to be charging. We have to become a focused, intentional vehicle to ride this advanced intelligence, to become the interface to that. Like that to me would be human beings ascending through this because the whole point of it is to destroy our focus. It's the whole fucking point. That's what they've done it all
Totally.
for. Like, why
Yeah.
bother putting fluoride in our water if it's not to destroy our ability to focus?
Mm. Yeah, yeah, all of it, right? Sugar, chemicals, the
And
work
Yep,
work day
nothing's done.
routine that kills
yep.
focus and dreams and everything.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, man, look everywhere but inside. That's the rule of the world.
And then when you look inside, it's a mess.
It's
It's an unfocused mess.
cobwebs.
Yeah, exactly. I pulled you out. Hey,
Like, and this,
I'm gonna have to run, Kelly. I've
yeah,
got to go.
same man. I got to go to work. I know, same,
But
same.
you can keep going.
No, I am already late. I'm
Yes.
late, my friend.
Billy has a real job too. Like,
I know. Imagine that.
I know, right? Jeez.
Don't worry. I'm focusing. I'm focusing on it. I'm focusing on untangling that one. I guess my last statement to everyone listening to this is that this is probably a really good time in your life to like look at what it is that you want to focus on and to actually bring around a discipline or a habit designed for that specific thing. Because if we don't bring it into discipline, if we don't create a time and contain it in our lives every single day, we stay out of focus
Mm,
and then we get grumpy.
yep.
Yeah,
100%. So if you want to get your shit together, links below. We'll leave it, all the other
yeah,
links.
yeah,
We'll leave
Dale.
Dale's channel. Go check it out. Give him
Oh
us.
yeah, so we can't even promote Dale because
We
he's
can't
sold
even
out.
promote. He's only showed up, but no one's invited because it's already
Sorry,
sold out. You're all
everyone.
too
You
late.
missed the
So
boat. You missed the boat. You'll have to come and see him at
I
Tabulum.
mean, we
Great.
didn't even get invited, like guys. So don't feel bad.
Yeah, yeah. He's
Next one. Next one.
evolving. No, it's excellent, Dale. It's excellent to see
Good to
you
catch up,
like
man.
get
Yeah,
excellent to see you get on stage and like do your own thing
yeah,
and get
man.
and be comfortable and confident. I how many times have I had to drag you kicking onto stage and getting you to speak. So I'm really excited to see that you've sort of like stepped into that power and fantastic, man. Well
Yeah,
done.
man.
Well,
Great.
that's my new focus too, because it's not something I would definitely not comfortable with, but I've become to be, what's the word? Yeah, I've got more comfortable. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's like it's a challenge.
that's a work in
No.
process, man. I'm the same. Like we're not all Kelly. She loves it, but I'm up there going, "Oh my god, bloody hell! Look at all these
I
people. They're all looking at me. What do I do?"
yeah. Yeah.
My first one was, oh shit, no one's going to get a ticket, and now we sold out. And now I've turned to, oh fuck, that's too many people. That's a lot of pressure.
Yep. Yep.
You can't win either way.
Yeah,
My advice to everyone who's starting public speaking out there in the broader realm is that just choose three stories from your own life that highlight the point you're trying to make, and you can't go wrong.
mm,
Because instead of trying to rote learn anything or memory and remember anything, it's just like, yeah, relate it back to you. Because your life is accumulated to the point of you having this idea.
yeah,
So tell
man.
us those stories. How'd you
Share
get
your
there?
wisdom. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's a very
Yeah.
good point. I'll take
It's
that
a
on board.
way
All right.
yeah, it's a good way to structure it. I remember that's how I did it, and that's how I taught them to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Cool.
All right,
Well,
man. Well,
it's
it's
good to
fucking
see you.
excellent to see you.
I'll see you in person soon.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
Excellent. Excellent.
definitely. Awesome, man. We'll have a great show. I think you got 3 of them. Hope they all go really well. Sold out. And we're having a show in April. Is it? No, it's I don't know, in the
Oh
future.
my God,
Get
stop.
your shit together.
Get
June
focused there,
6th, 7th, and
Campbell.
8th. Jolly Swag Tour, link below as well. Come check.
Yeah. So
Dale
our
will be
info can
there. He doesn't know.
yes, that's
Dale will
right. He's
be there.
coming. He's coming. So yeah, just a call out that tonight, tomorrow morning we start the Get Your Shit Together hour formally and officially, and it's going to go every single day from Saturday onwards. And you can join at any time. You can register a ticket at any time. I've got 365 days listed, and you can jump on and give it a go. But we start officially tomorrow morning with the whole group, and indefinitely moving forward to see what happens to our community when we're focused and we're in charge and we're manifesting. And I'm really keen to see what happens. So I'm excited. And I'm inviting everyone to join us. Come and try it. Come and test it out. See what happens. Tickets are by donation. You got nothing to lose.
All right, guys. All links below. Stay awesome. Thanks for Dale for joining us. It's been
Yeah,
awesome.
man.
Talk soon.
All right.
We'll catch you on the next upload.
All right. See you
See
guys.
you
Lots of
guys.
love. Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.